Hello you beautiful people and welcome to today's video. I'm so happy you're joining me today for another sketchbook tour. I did not really film any other art related videos this past week because I did not really feel the filming energy, and YouTube is just a fun side thing I'm doing, so I did not want to put out something that I did not really feel like doing, but I really feel like doing another sketchbook tour, so let's get right into it. This is the Hahnemühle Watercolor Sketchbook, and I got this for Christmas the last year, and we decorated it together, if you remember. Yeah, the acrylic paint really did hold to the cover. To be fair, I did not take it out somewhere, I just did use it at home. This Hahnemühle sketchbook, it's a watercolor sketchbook, and I have to say, for it being a watercolor sketchbook, it is kind of hard sometimes to work with watercolors in it. Maybe it's just me. If you have other experiences, please let me know. Yeah, so let's just start. So I started it on the 20th of March 2021 and I finished it on the 3rd of April 2021. It does not have a lot of pages, and if you know me, you know that when I'm sitting on my couch watching YouTube videos in the evenings, all I do is either I knit socks or I play Animal Crossing, or I draw, but I mostly tend to do art to relax. So yeah, yeah, the paper is just kind of a hassle to work with. When you're using watercolors, you have a lot of backgrounds. Backgrounds is what you... Okay, you see it right here. This is called a background or cauliflowering, I think. It's hard to get an even surface, is what I want to say, even if you're using enough water and paint. And also some paints, not all paints, certain brands and certain pigments tend to run away from line art. Like, what? Even what? And also this sketchbook, I did get it as a gift, but it is not inexpensive. I think it's 17 euros, and that's not inexpensive. So, but I will say that if I get this somewhere for a bit cheaper, like on sale or something, I would get it again because it's kind of nice for mixed media art. It is heavily coated, this paper. It's not, it's feeling a bit, I don't want to say plasticky, but it feels a bit plasticky. It feels a bit like the very cheap watercolor paper that you get in these giant pads. This is already very, this is how thick it was when I got it. I used it half already. Because I use these for comic pages and stuff. This is the cheapest watercolor pad or block with 100 sheets that that you can get at Bösner, for example. And this is... Get in there! And this is how this surface feels a bit, just so you maybe have a reference point. But it works, and it works okay. It just, if you are someone who likes pristine, flat areas in your watercolor paintings, I would probably not recommend this book. But for me, for my little comic doodles, it was alright. I I'm okay. Also, ink works very well. This is pigment ink, and later on we're gonna see some ink from a brush pen, and that's also very flat. So ink works pretty well in this one. Just as you can see, it's very hard to get. Even if you pre-mix a lot of your paint, it's hard to get an even surface. It's all I wanna say about that. So color pencils work okay. I don't think you can do a lot of layering because the paper is very, as I said, coated. Sized, I think, is the proper word. And also the color lies very flat, not very flat, the color lies on top of the paper. Quite a time if you're doing line art with something that's a bit more juicy, like a brush pen or something, you have to wait until it's dry, or else the watercolors will reactivate the not yet dry pigment ink stuff, and it will smudge. And yeah, here I drew a bit of a little comic with Todd and Leslie, and here's Janie, who's the character of my wife, Oswin. And here are some, these sketches were made with polychromos. I always found them to be very, very soft, but I've recently watched a lot of colored pencil reviews on YouTube, and I've been told and taught that these are not very soft compared to other colored pencils, so that's just something to keep in mind. I don't think you can get like a non-textured surface with colored pencils in this sketchbook if they are not very soft. The texture always shines through if you're just doing these light sketches that I did here, but it's fine. I kind of like the rough look of them. Here I drew a little forest scene. I really like the colors, how they turned out. And these little mushroom dudes. Here are just some doodles. This is a random lady, but these are all my OCs. Like this is Terrence and Leslie and Betsy. Yeah, here's Megan and Oswin. And also, this is felt tip pen. This is Crayola Super Tip. These very cheap Crayola pens that you can get. This is it. They lie on top of the paper. That's how heavy the sizing is. So just so you can imagine. And this is the ink from the brush pen I talked about. I think it's Kuretake. The ones with the black body and the colored cap. This is the gray one. They come in various colors, but the most popular ones are the black one and the gray one, I think. And that worked really well. That worked really well as well. I cannot talk. And also, yeah, this is also done with just fine liners, waterproof fine liners, and Crayola Super Tips. So, as I mentioned, this is kind of nice for mixed media. If you're into that kind of stuff, I think that this book could also make kind of a nice art journal. So just an idea. If you're finding it for cheap, it could probably be a good idea. It reminds me a teeny bit on these Canson watercolor mixed media sketchbooks in blue. You know, the one with the ring binding that are very hard to get in Germany. and it's kind of reminding me a bit of those as well. Here are Hank and Eleanor. She's an elf and he's a werewolf, and they are a couple and they are very adorable. Here is Eleanor doing some yoga. And yeah, I think you can see what the watercolor does on this paper. So, and this is, I accidentally dripped some water on my colored pencil lines and it reactivated. So it does not really sink into the paper, it just sits on top. So these are sketches of the little friend group. Todd, Leslie's nephew, and his friends, Viola and Matt. He's a troll and she's a dark elf. And here are more sketches with just the ink out of the brush pen layered on top of the fine liner. And here's some Crayola Super Tip stuff in the background. And these are some selfies. I'm a bit insecure about how I draw my selfie at the moment. So I was trying out a bit of a different style. Here are more characters of me and my wife. This is my immortal telekinesis boy Bastian, and here is her little witch, my wife's little witch Annie, and they are best buddies. And here they are at a fast food restaurant, and the thing with Bastian is he's, as I mentioned, immortal, so he has to eat all the time to get all the energy his body needs. So that's a perk of the immortals in this world. Here are just some random doodles, and this is what I meant with let your let your outlines dry for long enough, because if you're not doing that, it's doing this, it's smudging all over the place. So that's fun. Here are some more selfies of me and my cat, and these are just some random doodles I did out of my imagination. Here is Oswin and Trish and another witch character of mine from another world that I have with my wife. And these are just random things except for him. He's Bastian's best and boyfriend. Here are some more random doodles, and oh yeah, here's when I picked up a bit of knitting again. It was very relaxing. I still need to finish the second sock, but I will do that eventually. And Sinister and her girlfriend Lilie. And just more of these. Here's my witch Maya with the best thrifted t-shirt ever. More random doodles. Here are Trish and Leslie though. And this is me and the dog. It was very warm outside and it has gotten very, very cold again. And just, I think these and these were done straight in pen. And then I went over them with watercolors. Here are some random doodle birds that I used for swatching these new paints my wife made. This color is called Pigeon Gray. This is why I drew so many birds. And this is called Nihus, which is an old German word for a water man, Aquarius man. And I don't know how he's called in English, but it's an old German word for that. So, oh, and this is where the ribbon was when this book was stored somewhere. So you have this. Can you see that? This neat textured little line. That's a thing with a lot of sketchbooks, but I do prefer sketchbooks with a ribbon. It's just a thing I like. But what I do not like with these not horizontal sketchbooks, with this format of sketchbook, is when you have a reading ribbon and it's not long enough to get over the edge. That's something my bookbinding teacher in uni always taught us, that the reading ribbon, if you have a sketchbook like this, when you have a landscape format, it's not gonna work because it would be like meters long. But when you have this format, the reading ribbon has to go always a bit over, so you can easily grab it and you don't lose it when you like, you know, it's a thing. It's a pet peeve of mine, but it's not bad. It's not a bad book because it has a too short reading ribbon. It's just something that kind of, I don't know. Here's my boy Valis with a way too big jacket, and just some straight in pen doodles again, some flowers for a change. And this is when I prepared my family's Easter packages, because I could not visit anyone, so I made a lot of packages for my family. And this is Megan with the little critter of Jane, who's called Mouse. Here are just some random doodles. I kind of like this one. It's a bit inspired by Zelda, because I'm playing that at the moment. And the color I use in the background is the separating color. It's called Kappa, and it's one of our paints that my wife makes, and I really, really like it. And it does kind of nice things on this paper, not gonna lie. I really like, I started to really like granulating and separating paints. And yeah, this is a prompt from a Discord server that my wife got, and I jumped in and drew it to a stinky sock puppet. And yeah, I was not feeling my best that day. My wife saw that, and when I wasn't looking, she was grabbing my sketchbook and wrote me a little nice lovely note that really made me happy. Yeah, here you can see again the watercolor does funky stuff. More straight in pen doodles. And here, I really like these two little hamsters. These are my favorites. This is my character Terrence again, and I drew him, and I kind of did not, I did not like it that much, so I went over it first with color pencils, and then I went over that with several layers of watercolors. And yeah, it was that time of the month, and it was kind of painful this time. So I drew myself like, ugh. So, oh yeah, I went to the office this Monday, this past Monday, and because I have very good bosses, they got us free, like, supermarket style corona tests, and I had my first one. I never got tested before, but it was one of those where you really have to stick it up, like, in your brain, this little stick, and it felt so strange. I could feel it, like, in my nose after it happened. But it's fine. Like, it was very fast and very easy, and I was negative, don't worry. And it, like, felt really nice to have been tested, and at least for that day, like, you could, of course we were still wearing masks and stuff, but we could work a bit more relaxed without worrying, like, is anyone positive in the office and stuff. But of course we were careful nonetheless, but it felt a bit better, you know. So, bit of Janie, bit of Oswin, bit of Sinister, And this is just such a funky paint. This is from Schminke, and it has this neon pigment in it, and it just looks so pretty. I really like it. A little tired seal I drew. And here are some ideas for an alien race that I wanted to design for a story I have with my wife. Yeah, cats and stuff. This is a not so pretty page, but oh well, we have to have those as well. Dennis and his roommate Tiffany. I started drawing this little mini comic on Instagram with those characters. Dennis is a reaper who like collects the souls of the dead and guides them to the river of death. It's not, I don't know if I want to use sticks for that, but yeah, he just does his job there, and but also he lives with his roommate who's a banshee and likes to sing, and yeah, just tries to live a normal life, and he's a big boy and she's a small girl, and yeah, I think it's gonna be fun, what I have imagined for those. And this is Ezra, the ferryman who brings over the souls of the dead to the other side, by the way. And that day was my wife's and mine 5th wedding anniversary. Time flies like so fast. And a fun thing is, I don't know if you have that where you live, but in Germany we have these funny names for like anniversaries. For example, the 5th anniversary, sometimes the 10th too, but most of the time the 5th is the wooden anniversary. And then I forgot what the 10-year is in most areas here, but the 12th and a half anniversary is the parsley wedding. This is the wooden wedding. Then there's the parsley wedding is kind of a joke thing, but it's still sometimes celebrated because it marks the halfway point to 25 years, which is the silver wedding. And then when you get like 50 years of marriage, you have the golden wedding, and then at 60 the diamond wedding, and I think 65 or 70 is the jewel wedding. I think that's it. Then there's bronze somewhere in between. We have a lot of funny wedding anniversaries here, and I don't know, is that where you are? Is that the same? Or like, is that a thing that only we do? I don't know. Also, here's a long cat. So here's my wife's character Oswin. And yesterday, yeah, this happened. I don't know, he was on my lap. My cat, Mephisto, was on my lap, and I was holding my morning coffee and I was drinking it, and then I moved my leg because it did hurt, because I'm old. And then he just, oh my god, jumped up, and there was coffee all over me and all over my sofa blanket, and it was a mess. It was a whole mess. So, also, Hannah got a bit frustrated with her long hair because even when we could have gone to the hairdresser, the numbers were still so high that she did not want to go. And her hair was very long and very broken, so she was just like, okay, you can get this friggin' stuff off me now. And I just went and gave her a haircut. We were cutting our hair since the beginning of this whole situation, and I think even a bit before that. And it's very inexpensive. And if you don't want a fancy haircut, you can definitely cut your own hair. the other night, I dreamt I was getting quarantine bangs. And then I woke up and was like, no, I'm not doing that. I look terrible with bangs. So, yeah. Here's a little pastel themed page with a little bunny. And here are more characters from the Dennis Death comic. Ezra. Here's Tiffany and Dennis himself. And this is his dog, Digger. It's a dog spirit, but you can touch it. Like, he has the ability to make it touchable and pettable. And he found him one day at the River of the Dead, and he just brought him home, and he has a loving home with Tiffany and with Dennis. And two of my OCs, my necromancer girl Kriya and Kine. And this is a little selfie and my cat. And this is the last page. This sentence means this is the end. And that's it. That's the sketchbook. Yeah. As I mentioned, if I get this on sale somewhere, I will definitely buy it again because it's great for mixed media. It does not have a lot of pages. It did take me 2 weeks to fill, and yeah, it's not a bad sketchbook, but if you're looking for a high quality watercolor sketchbook, that's definitely not the one. But it's okay for ink, and I think you could also do a bit of art journaling in here and stuff like that, but I would not buy it as a high-class watercolor sketchbook thing. You just have to have the right expectations when you get this one. And yeah, that's it. That's the sketchbook tour, and I don't know. I hope I can get the energy together to film more art videos the next weeks. We'll see about that. And I hope you're fine. I hope you're safe, and everything is okay. And we see each other next time. And until we see each other, also thanks for watching, of course. Thank you for watching. We see each other next time. And until we see each other, please do something that makes you happy. Bye!